Hi, I'm Wongster 1970, and today I'm going to be replacing the inner and outer tie rod ends on the 2019 Chevy Silverado 2500 High Country. Let's get started. I've already got this tie rod end loose from whenever I was working on the pitman arm and idler arm, and I turned this loose. That takes it's metric, of course, but this 1-inch fit on. I was able to loosen up with that. I'm gonna have to get an adjustable wrench on here, hold that in place so I can turn this back off. But I want to take my paint marker and mark this so I know approximately what the distance was from the new one to the old one. I got the old inner tie rod out. I wasn't 100% sure it was going to come out, but I used my Maddock Harbor Freight inner tie rod removal tool. That is a 40 millimeter. It slides onto there, and then that goes into this end. Now, goes into this end, and then locks in place. Inner tie rod part number is EV800935. This is a Moog. There's our old one, and there's the new one. It came with a replacement nut, so what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to turn the nut on to where this one is, and then mark it so that I know approximately where it needs to be to put the new tie rod end on. I'm going to start turning this on by hand until it stops. So let me get the tool. It should be the same size. This will slide over top of it. Should. There, like that. And turn a little bit more. There. That'll go on like that. This marked where that should be with the nut. You can slide. You can see there. Gotta kind of hold it in place. See, like that. And then slide that in far enough. Why are we having problems here? So I should have checked it. Made sure that the whole thing would slide in there far enough. Looks like it should. You can see. You gotta be complicated, huh? Well, of course, it's not going to hold the way it's supposed to. It looks like I'm going to have to hold this in place. Snug it in. I'm going to have to torque this to 92 foot-pounds. Torquing this to 92 foot-pounds if it stays on there. Yeah, we got 92. Get my tool off of it. It slipped off again. And get my new tie rod end. These are the replacement outer tie rod ends. Come in a set of 2. Part number ES800901. Here's our old one compared to the new one. Look about the same length. I am going to put the grease fitting on there once I get the tie rod end on. And that'll just screw on here. Have to work it a little bit. There we go. I have to find my castle nut to put on there. Got the castle nut. Put that on there. And torque that down. Find out what the torque specs are. Torque specs for this are 26 foot-pounds and then turn an additional 90 degrees. So I torqued it to 26 foot-pounds, turned it 90 degrees additional, and then I lined up the hole with the crown nut. So I'm going to put the cotter pin in there and then get the grease fitting in it and then tighten this up. I got the cotter pin in there. I got to put the grease fitting in yet. Got the grease fitting installed. That took a 7mm wrench. Everything looks like oh, I have to tighten up this nut here, and that's probably going to be a 1-inch, and then I'm going to hold on here to keep it from turning. But that should do it for this side. Tighten this up with a 1-inch wrench on there, and then my adjustable down on here. This side should all be done now. I'm going to go and start working on the other side. I'm going to start by taking off the lug nuts. I'm going to use my electric impact gun, and that takes a 7/8 socket. Putting some of this PB Blaster on here. Hopefully loosen up this rust. Get my wrench and my socket and turn that loose. Took a 15/16 to loosen that nut up. It wasn't too bad. I'm gonna move this a little bit. It looks like it's touching up against the backing plate puller, so I'm gonna loosen it up, turn it a little bit, and then whack it with a hammer, see if it'll come loose. Okay, I'm gonna hit it a couple of times here and see if this will come loose. There we go. Now I'll loosen up this nut here and mark it again where it's at, and then take that tie rod end off. Outer tie rod's removed. Got it marked. There should be a mark on it somewhere. There it is. Now I'm going to see if that inner one wants to come out. This is how, focus on there. This is how this is supposed to slide in. And then the tool will slide up over top of it. Like so. And then you should be able to turn this. Get another hand on it. Can't do it with one hand. Like that. That's how it should be locked in. And then I should be able to take my ratchet and just turn it out. Let's see if I can turn this out. Here's my ratchet. Let me supposed to go on there, 97 foot-pounds. Again, here's a replacement EV800935. Put up against the old one. Here's the other old one. This one I just took off. So, let me see how that's. With that raised collar on there, it makes it a little tough to get the tool on it. I'm going to measure the distance in between here and here, and then put the nut on the same length. For some reason that inner one really fought me, but I did get it torqued up to 92 foot-pounds. I'm going to wind the tie rod end back on, the other tie rod end on, and then put it back up through there. Okay, I got the bolt tightened down, and then, or the nut tightened down to 26 foot-pounds, and then turn 90 degrees, cotter pin installed, grease fitting installed, and then this is tightened back up. So that should be it. I'm just going to go through and grease everything and get the wheels on, and it should be done. I torqued these bolts to 10. Book says 17, but that seemed too tight. The clamp bolts I tightened to 37 foot-pounds for the stabilizer bar. I've got all the bolts installed from the fender liner. I just snugged them up. I don't know what the torque would be on them, maybe 7 foot-pounds, if even that. All of them are in. Everything's greased. It's definitely going to need a front end alignment. And let me get that shield on, and then I should be able to get the wheels back on. Got those 4 bolts back into that shield. Should get another washer for up on there. But everything is together down here now. Topped off the power steering fluid. It seems to be good. Seems to be turning okay. Well, that'll do it for replacing the inner and outer tie rod ends on the 2019 Chevy Silverado 2500 High Country with the Duramax 6.6 liter engine. After I replaced the tie rod ends, I took the truck in for its PA state inspection, which it passed, and I had them do a front end alignment. So everything seems to be good now. Until next year, until I have to get inspected again. We'll see what is worn out then. But that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay safe. And thanks for watching.